Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 3rd of February, Saturday, so I hope you have a wonderful day and a great weekend. It's supposed to be my day off also today, but there is quite interesting reporting on Russian media, and well, I decided to make this short update. Now it's 1 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze, and this is today's only update. And well, let's go through the news. And first of all, of course, information about US strikes on Syria and Iraq. So let's go through the news. US officials confirmed that its military forces struck more than 85 targets in Iraq and Syria in retaliation for a recent attack on US troops in Jordan. By the way, it's still disputed is that attack was in Jordan or in Syria, but Pentagon and Washington, for whatever reason, persisting that it was in Jordan. Okay, so at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, February 2nd, U.S. General Command Force conducted airstrikes in Iraq and Syria against Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force, and affiliated militia groups. U.S. military forces struck more than 85 targets, U.S. Central Command reported in a statement. The airstrikes were carried out with numerous aircraft, including long-range bombers. I guess that was B-1 bombers. According to the statement, the facilities that were struck included command and control operational centers, intelligence centers, and the sites for the storage of unmanned aerial vehicles. The statement said more than 125 precision munition were employed in the airstrikes. So, as I reported yesterday, there was, it was expected. It was expected that this weekend US will conduct this retaliatory strike. There was speculations in the media what will be US strikes and where. Some reports say that US may strike Iran's navy in the Persian Gulf. Some reports say that US may even strike Iran itself directly on Iran's soil. But majority of media outlets, at least in Russia, were predicting that US strike will be against affiliated with Iran militia groups in Syria and Iran, and that's exactly the case. Of course, this will change nothing in principle. US is a long time not really welcomed in the Middle Eastern countries, in the majority of Middle Eastern countries, with exception of Israel. And therefore, more escalatory steps US will take. Locals will have more reason to further increase strikes against US assets, including US military bases in Syria and Iraq, and it will happen. It's just too obvious. And Biden, of course, confirmed that these strikes were conducted under his orders, and he also promised additional strikes, if it will change anything at all. Okay, it will just more endanger US assets in the region and US militaries. But yet again, as long as the US society is not asking questions, or at least majority of US society are not asking questions, why US military bases are even existed in Syria, for example, where they are used as a kind of private military company for criminals and terrorist organizations that are stealing Syria's oil and gas. I mean, it's a legit question, isn't it? Why US military assets are in Syria? Who invite them there? Syria is not a neighbor to US. Syria never threatened US in any way, shape or form. So it's a pure occupation force, and force that are used as a private military company for criminals and the terrorists, Kurdish terrorist groups, to be more precise, by the way. Anyway, as I just said, these strikes will change nothing, and we already have confirmation of that. Al Mayadin TV station reported that rocket strike was carried out against US military base near the Koniko gas field. What a surprise. Koniko gas field in the Syrian province of Deir Zor. As I said, man, like private military companies, these US soldiers are used like mercenaries to secure basically interests of terrorist groups, Kurdish terrorist groups in that area, and to secure criminals that are stealing Syria's oil and gas. That's it. I mean, as simple as that. And this is just the beginning, man. This is just the beginning. Mark my words. US military bases gonna be obliterated in the Middle East, and will be obliterated. It's just a matter of time, and it's. I mean, Washington should realize. Washington should realize that and remove its forces until it's not too late. And U.S. society should wake up finally and say something. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti's report that. And by the way, before I continue with some other news, of course, it's interesting how Iran will respond on this because there was no strike on Iran's soil. There was no strike on Iran's navy. I guess Tehran will avoid direct confrontation with the US, and there will be no strikes against US assets from Iran's forces, even though US blames this Quds Force or IRGC of involvement in that recent strike on US base in Syria that killed 3 US military personnel and wounded up to 40 others. I don't think IRGC was directly involved in this, and I don't think US targeted IRGC forces. They may claim this, but I don't think they targeted IRGC forces. But whatever the case, it's hardly possible that Iran will target directly US assets. But, well, Tehran has all the incentives to, further increase support to resistance movements in the region. And those resistance movements, we all know what they are capable of and what they want. They want occupying forces of the NATO member states to left the region. So that means that there will be retaliatory strikes, undoubtedly, but not from Iran, because Iran definitely don't need any war with anybody, really, including US. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti's report that Russian air defense systems shut down 7 Ukrainian drones in 3 Russian regions, in Belgorod region, Volgograd region, and Rostov region. Although it seems like at least 1 drone did manage to cause some significant damage on the ground. Governor of Volgograd region, Andrei Bocharov, reported that as a result of fail of fragments of destroyed drone on one of the oil refineries in the Volgograd region, fire erupted there, and some serious damage was caused by this. At this point, I guess fire is extinguished. But well, unfortunately, whatever was the case, it was direct heat or some fragments just fell on that oil refinery. Kiev regime did manage to cause some damage on the ground, which is unfortunate, of course. But yet again, it's only Ukrainian air defense systems that are capable to shut down 350 million% of the aerial targets. Is not it? I mean, it's their fantasy has no boundaries. Representatives of Kiev regime, but in real life, even best air defense systems are not always capable to shut down all the aerial targets. RT's report that Zelensky, according to Washington Post, informed US leadership of his plans to fire top general, and of course we are talking about Zaluzhny once again. Let's read several sentences here. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's administration has informed the White House that the decision has been made to fire the head of the army, General Valery Zaluzhny, the Washington Post revealed on Friday, A major rift between the two became public following Ukraine's failed summer counteroffensive and aimed the growing reluctance of the Western sponsors to continue funding Kiev's war efforts. White House official accepted the president's decision, neither supporting nor opposing it, two of the newspaper's sources said. So let's see. As I reported yesterday or day before, I see two possible scenarios. Days of Zelensky as a president of Ukraine is definitely numbered. He is going out, and the question is now how Zaluzhny will replace him. How Zaluzhny will replace Zelensky. And there is two possible scenarios. First is that Zelensky would not be able to prolong martial law after March, and if that's the case, then presidential elections has to be conducted in Ukraine, and Zaluzhny, by all accounts, has much more support of public than Zelensky, so most likely he will become next president, and therefore he may be fired now. Washington and London may not oppose that if Zaluzhny will be safe and secure, if Zelensky's camp will not try to neutralize him. That's one scenario, that Zelensky is unable to prolong martial law towards the end of March. Then presidential elections will be held, and Zaluzhny will become next president. That's how Zelensky gonna leave office. That's one. But second scenario may be very different. Zelensky may fire Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny may not obey orders, and he may just conduct a military coup in Ukraine, oust Zelensky and his associates from power. Then presidential elections may be conducted, and well, Zaluzhny, as a most popular at this point figure in Ukraine among society, will become a president. So he will legitimize his power through presidential elections. That's the two possible scenarios that I see. But yet again, who knows what London and Washington have planned in reality. And when it comes to possible replacements of Zaluzhny, of course, all of you are informed that two candidacies are discussed, according to media reports. One is Budanov, mass murderer and terrorist, that basically openly confirmed that he was involved in terrorist attacks on Russian soil. That's one candidacy. And second is General Syrsky, head of Ukraine's ground forces. But according to some media reports, both these criminals and mass murderers refused to take a position of head of general staff. But let's see how all things develop. TASS news agencies report that French politician, leader of Patriot Party, Florian Philippot, called Macron traitor because of his position in regards to French nuclear weapons. And this topic is important, by the way, because I don't know how popular this politician Florian Philippot is in France, but topic that he is criticizing Macron for is definitely important, because recently Macron made a statement that you know what, this topic is so important in my opinion that let's translate it and read to be more precise. We are talking about possibility that Macron will provide nukes for Brussels, by the way. So Brussels may become, EU organization may become armed with nukes, which is crazy. I mean, even to think about. But let's read information. The leader of the French Patriots Party, Florian Philippot, believes that the statement of the country's president Emmanuel Macron about granting the European Union access to France's nuclear weapons are high treason. He wrote about this on Friday on X, formerly Twitter. As the politician recalled, during his visit to Sweden, Macron said that France has a responsibility to place its nuclear deterrent at the disposal of the European Union. This is a high treason. This is a fundamental break with the French doctrine, which with Gaullism. Nuclear weapons are inextricably linked to our national sovereignty, said Filippo. In fact, this is a transfer of them to EU. This means that we may use them tomorrow, for example, in the event of war between Poland and or Latvia and Russia. So, I don't know, as I said, how popular this politician, this opposition politician is, Florian Filippo, but topic is definitely important and dangerous, because if Macron will go ahead with his decision to share control over the nukes with Brussels, well, this makes Brussels nuclear capable organization. We should always remember that European Union is not even country. Formally, it's an organization of the countries. It's a union of the countries. And this is, I mean, absolutely crazy stuff that is going on. And, well, I don't know, man, how Moscow will react on this, how anybody will react. But this is definitely very dangerous development, because world was dangerous place while countries were holding nukes. But now seems like we are getting to the point when some organizations will be able to hold nuclear weapons, which is, I mean, as crazy as it can go. I mean, it's total nonsense. But what you're gonna expect from that mentally ill individual that Macron is? He's supposed to be treated by psychiatrists in a medical facility, but he is the president of France. I mean, it is what it is, man. That's a reality. TASS news agencies report that Medvedev says that NATO playing with fire with the latest military exercises. Medvedev reacted on the biggest military exercises that NATO conducts right now in Eastern Europe since the collapse of Soviet Union or since the Cold War. Let's read several sentences here. Moscow has no plans to attack any NATO country, something that is clear as a day to anyone with an ounce of sense in the West. Russia's Security Council Deputy Chairman Dmitry Medvedev wrote on the Vkontakte social media platform, commenting on the NATO Steadfast Defender 2024 exercises, the largest since the end of Cold War. He noted that this was playing with the fire in very dangerous way. We don't plan to attack any of the bloc's members. This is clear to all reasonable people in the West. However, if they get carried away playing and encroach on our country's integrity, they will immediately receive an appropriate response, Medvedev pointed out. According to him, it will mean one thing, a big war that NATO won't be able to dodge. Well, those exercises definitely can be seen as a play with the fire from Moscow, but me personally, I did share my opinion on those exercises, and I think this is preparation of the NATO to rapidly deploy their forces into Western Ukraine once full-scale disintegration of this failed state begins. It may happen this year, it may happen next year, but I'm 100% sure that we will see full-scale disintegration of Ukraine. And this so-called state will no longer exist on the political map once that disintegration process will be complete. Russia will control majority of the territory of former Soviet Republic Ukraine, and Western neighbors of it will establish control over the Western regions. That's how it's gonna be. As I said, I may leave just 1% for a slight chance that Kiev and surrounding few regions will survive as a quasi-independent territory, quasi-independent state and the name of Ukraine, although I don't see even one reason why should Moscow ever allow this to happen, because it's obvious that in that case, Kiev will again be used against Russia by Western ruling class. So there is no reason for Moscow to agree on such a scenario. So most likely Ukraine will be divided between Russia and NATO. Russia will establish control over the majority of this failed state, and NATO will establish control over the western regions. And that's why they are conducting these exercises, biggest since the Cold War, because they want to be sure that they will be able to deploy their forces in the western Ukraine as fast as possible, so that local neo-Nazi groups of armed groups, by the way, of Ukraine would not be able to organize some serious resistance, because they will be resistance. If NATO member states think that it's going to be a picnic for them to establish control of the western Ukraine, no, it's not, because that region, by the way, is a stronghold of this neo-Nazi, Ukrainian neo-Nazi ideology and Ukrainian fascism, basically. Let's continue with some additional news. This is also interesting, by the way, something not necessarily about politics. Joe Rogan scores massive new podcast contract. US podcast king Joe Rogan has signed a contract renewal with the Spotify that essentially allows him to have his cake and eat it, to reportedly earning as much as 250 million from the streaming service and gaining the freedom to distribute his show on other platforms. So well done to Joe Rogan, by the way. He's definitely one of the most influential podcasters, or maybe even most influential podcaster in the world, and he is definitely most popular podcaster in the world. He does great shows. I don't watch him on Spotify, but I used to watch his shows on YouTube. And if he will be able to upload his content on YouTube, I will continue to watch, because he does has very interesting shows and guests, and it's fun. It's fun to watch, interesting, informative, and fun. So, well, congrats to Joe Rogan. I mean, he deserved this. RIA Novosti's report that in Sochi, first flight was conducted by modernized Tupolev's 214 plane, 214, that's the name of this plane. This plane was in storage for quite a while, and then some modernization did take place, and now Red Wings avia company will operate with this plane. Well, one more factual evidence that despite Western sanctions, including on Russian aviation industry, Russian side is managing to deal with the issues, and well, that's a prime example, for example, that Russian industrial complex was able to basically bring to the second life this plane. And I guess this is a first step. There will be more and more planes that will be not just built from the scratch. There will be not just new planes that avia companies will receive, civilian planes, but also some older planes that needed modernization will undergo this modernization process and enter service again. And I will end this short, I hope, update with this news. Well, according to statistics, last year almost 9 million foreign citizens of foreign countries visited Russia as tourists, which is well, quite a good number, really. And of course, majority of tourists are coming in from friendly nations: China, India, Middle East, Latin America. But also there are quite a number of visitors from hostile states, from the collective West, because states may be hostile, but not all people are Russophobes, obviously. Not all people in the Western states hate us, and therefore many of them are visiting Russia as a tourists to get know this country a little better, get know history, culture, which is great, and this number will definitely grow, because as I understand, Russian foreign ministry, Russian government makes much more easier now to get Russian visa. You don't even have to go to embassy, as I understand. You can apply for a visa by internet. That's how easy it is nowadays. So hopefully more and more people will come into Russia to get know Russia better, and of course it will be beneficial for both sides, for tourists and for Russia, for Russian economy. And this is it for now. Quite short updates, as I said, 27 minutes. So hopefully you will find this video interesting, informative, and useful. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and share video to your friends, or share links to my videos or my channel with your friends. That will definitely help to reach wider audience on both platforms, by the way, on Rumble and YouTube. And well, if you think this project with several channels, several programs are interesting, useful, informative, and has some potential or deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day, have a great weekend, and take care.